We are live.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to the Board of Park Commissioners meeting for Thursday, June 3rd. Please call the roll.
Mr. Cappers,
Here.
Mr. Emmerich,
Here.
Mrs. Westfall.
Here.
Thank you. We have our minutes of our May 4th meeting that have been disseminated to us. Are there any additions, deletions of those minutes?
Nothing here.
No,
Is that a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll
Is there a
second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? They stand approved. Mr. Drake and Mr. Boer have both been excused from this meeting due to the change in the date. Oh, there's Mr. Drake. Hi, Jeremy. Do you have anything to add to your report, sir?
I'm sorry. No, I do not.
Okay. Well, that's good. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Drake?
Nope.
Mr. Seiler, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Do you have anything to add to your report?
Just that we haven't had a great start to the aquatic park season. We've been open 2 days out of 5 so far, so hopefully that will change here over the next couple days. It looks like it will. And our staff is in the process right now of putting the ice down for summer. Ice will begin on Monday, and they're building the ice currently, so we'll be doing that throughout the weekend.
Ken, I want to express my disappointment on the shoreline only increasing its activity by 450% this year. I don't know why you can't do better than that.
They are slacking. I've tried to get on them. I don't know. Tyler's doing something over there, right? Because they're certainly generating the traffic.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Great to hear. Anybody have any questions of Mr. Seiler?
Doing my part over there, Al.
Good, Jordan. We appreciate that. I don't have any planning commission report either. Let's go to the new business, the Prairie Reserve at Duke Park. Mr. Tennyson, that was a letter from you. You want to head that discussion?
Sure. You have the letter in your packet with the recommendation. I will say that although they're off camera, you have a representative from the Duke Foundation and a representative of the Robinson Fund, who also happen to be two of our esteemed county commissioners. Emphasis on esteemed. Let me go ahead and share the screen. So as I'm talking through this, so hopefully that will come in. Okay. Let me. So here's the ball fields from this point on. Can you see the hand or the cross from my cursor?
Yes.
Yes.
So at this is the point where it starts the southern boundary of the Hewells Camp property that was replatted as part of Duke Park. This is the acreage right here that we sold to the Miami County Park District several years ago. After we bought the farm, it was part of the funding package, and Scott Meyer, the executive director, was able to procure an Ohio Department of Natural Resources grant. He has been working with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to create a wetlands project out here. The whole thing started from my end with a phone call from Scott asking, what would we think about this idea of creating a reserve to kind of piggyback on their project. And from that point, I believe he's had some conversations with the Duke Foundation, as well as the Robinson Fund, and I rounded back with Jeremy to talk about the possibilities. Over a couple of months, then we started to really narrow down what a reserve meant with Scott's help and with Ted and Wade's help as well, to create what you see here in concept, this light green area, which would be known as a reserve, not a preserve, but a reserve. Apparently in the parkland world, there is a distinction. It makes sense that there's a distinction because a preserve implies that that land is always going to be perpetually maintained as prairie or whatever passive form that it is. A reserve reserves the land, but gives you more flexibility in the long term. And that's important to note because the Huelskamp property, one of the reasons that it was acquired was for the future expansion of recreational opportunities, particularly ball fields, in concert with some passive space. As you're well aware, we've tried a couple of times to have the ball field complex idea passed through the voters and through levy support. That has not worked yet. So it does make some sense that we create some less passive than farmland, but certainly not as active as ball fields, some space, and a reserve idea made the most sense because it does then allow visitors and Troy and Troy area residents to more enjoy that part of Duke Park. So, and what it would include would be the extension of a gravel path. And I will say gravel since I'm usually a hard surface guy, because we want to promote walking and we don't want to promote bicycling or any other kind of electric vehicle or whatever, electric bike, because we do want this to be a walking path. That does not preclude us in the future if some area around here working with Scott becomes part of a more direct connection to the rec trail in the future. But for now anyway, this was created, all this dotted line was created as a walking trail. The light green area here would be prairie type grasses, sedges, milkweed, that kind of thing, with and that's about 32 out of the 40 acres that is outlined here. 8 acres approximately would be made up of new plantings and forestation, trees, etc. So there would be 2 connections to right here and right here, which would be platform overlooks that Scott Myers is planning on building, so that people can step up to the platform and overlook the Great Miami River. Trying to think, and so we would have we would add benches along the path. We would add directional signage, and then we would also have an interpretive sign that would describe the property and the benefactors helping us to create this concept. You see here an estimated budget of $58,810. In moving forward with this in concept, the Duke Foundation was very interested in participating with a grant towards this project. The Duke Foundation board has awarded an up to $30,000 grant, up to 50% or $30,000, whichever is less. We are, even in light of the recent inflation and construction material increases, we are, I I guess cautiously optimistic that we would be well under the $58,000 total. The other portion would come from city resources. As I mentioned, both the Duke Foundation and the Robinson Fund were incorporated or founded, if you will, through the Dukes and the Robinsons. And so in talking with the Robinsons, contingent went out to talk to them about the plans and the capital funding or the grant funding. I can let our two representatives here speak a little further if you'd like to get into the details, but I was not there. But my understanding is they were very receptive to the project, thought it was a very good project, and appreciated the Duke Foundation being involved to the point where there was some discussion about some kind of an endowment being provided through the Robinson Fund, an amount which has not been finalized, but certainly they recognize that this is such a worthy project that they would like to make sure that it gets maintained. That maintenance, trying to be sensitive to Jeremy and his staff, but in full selfish disclosure, the general fund budget, this is a minimal maintenance item because it is going to be prairie and forest, trees, etc. So we tried to create something that would not be an ongoing operating burden, but certainly an endowment would allow us to maintain it, as well as perhaps even add passive features, I guess we'll call them, in the future over time, depending on the amount that is endowed. Wade, do you have anything to add? Mr. Westfall, Mr. Mercer?
No, I just want to comment on behalf of Mr. and Mrs. Robinson. They were truly grateful and honored that the Duke Foundation and the City of Troy partnered to honor them in this way. And when we had the discussion with Mr. and Mrs. Robinson, especially Mrs. Robinson was so happy that their area would be connected to her father, Mr. Paul Duke. And in talking with them further, they would like to establish some type of an endowment fund that the City of Troy would have access to for future improvements, future maintenance, whatever. But they are truly very happy with this, and they understand that this is why the quality of life in Troy just continues to be enhanced, and they're very appreciative.
So two other points to add, Mr. Cappers. I was talking about a reserve versus preserve, because I know there's some sensitivity that, eventually we would like to expand the number of ball fields in Troy, especially at the smaller age group level of play. So you can very faintly see it on the screen. Hopefully it came out in your packets a little better, where 8 smaller fields could be added in the future, so people know that we have not given up on that project, but it may be a little longer term than we thought. As a reserve, so up here, if you see my cursor, is actually that northern parcel that we bought as part of the Hewells Camp, and that's 19.5 acres. That has never been talked about as being and never been included in the design plans for future recreational opportunities. That was land that, if we did anything with it, could possibly be sold off to a residential developer. That idea was not, I don't know, people didn't latch onto that idea as a way that we needed to use to offset the costs of the land. And so it has been truly passive. It's been farmed. And if we didn't do this project, we'd continue to, probably into the long term. So this could, in the short or medium range anyway of time, I don't see that this would ever not be part of the reserve. This area here, this width here, maybe along the way as we get closer, or we find funding to do this part of the project, we could tighten this a little bit, but I don't ever see us not having access from here up to this part of the reserve. So I don't see this as a short-term reserve. I see this as being a long-term reserve in either its current form or something more along the line of a P, if you will, where this is
And Mr. and Mrs. Robinson understand the difference.
They do.
they
between-
do understand that, yes.
Okay. Well, first of
The
all-
other- Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, first of all, on behalf of the Board of Park Commissioners and myself individually, I really appreciate the generosity that the Duke Foundation and Tom and Pat Robinson have done for this community and the park system in particular. We have been a beneficiary of their largesse, and it just is outstanding what they've done for this community. I really appreciate that, and I like the plan itself. Mr. Titterington, you're going to make a second point?
Just to say that, that all segues very well into my other recommendation or request for the park board to consider. And that is, we went out on a limb, if you will, since we're talking about parks. The attachments that you see have been named just for working purposes, Robinson Reserve at Duke Park. We do have a naming policy that the council is the only one that can name areas for infrastructure or buildings, but certainly this project and a request to have it named after the Robinsons is in compliance with the guidelines of the naming rights policy that council passed. And I would recommend, and I know that everybody here supports the idea of recommending to council that this be named. And if the park board sees fit, it would probably send a very strong message to the council if the park board made that recommendation.
Thank you for the presentation. Mr. Drake, do you have any comments concerning the proposal?
No, I think very good, very well thought out plan. I really like the low maintenance aspect of it. I think it's a really good use of the property. One of the big things that Mr. Titterington already touched on was the use for additional ball fields at some point down the road, and we've made that provision, and that's part of the plan that you see there, which is a big part. But fully in support. I think it's going to be a great use of that property.
Susan, Jordan, do either one of you have any comments?
I just feel really privileged to be part of it. And like you said, I feel like this is a great way to honor the Robinsons for their contributions to our community. They've done a lot.
Yeah, I'll echo those comments. I mean, it looks like a great collaborative effort and great use of the space. Really well put together by everybody. So.
That all being said, I'll make a motion to approve the creation of the Prairie Reserve and to recommend to City Council that it be formally named as the Robinson Reserve at Duke Park.
I'll second that.
Second by Mrs. Westfall. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Cappers,
Yes?
Mr. Emmerich,
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, we have a letter from Troy Main Street concerning a use of the Prouty Plaza on July 17th for an event, Plein Air, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Does anybody want to carry the water on this? Anybody want to?
Yeah, sure. I'll do that. Sorry, we wanted to catch the commissioner before they left.
Okay.
So we've received a request from Andrew Keller, the executive director, as part of their of their various events to promote and support the biennial sculptures on the square. They will have painters, artists. I guess they're going to be around downtown. And they will be available. They'll just be painting either the sculptures or the landscape, just a variety of pictures. And as they're going to be doing that for most of the day on the 17th, when and they're going to promote it so that people, as they're walking around and looking at the sculptures, visitors and residents, they will see the artists painting. And so somebody may walk up and say, "Well, I really like that painting. Is it for sale?" They wanted to have a central location that the artists could tell buyers that they would be available for sale. And Patti Plaza is an open, accessible, and centrally located area. And so that's why they had asked if they could get permission to do that.
I see no request for the showmobile here. Is that correct?
No, there's no showmobile necessary.
Okay. Jeremy, do you have any concerns?
No concerns. No.
Susan, Jordan, either one of you have any
I
comments?
have no problem.
Okay. One of you want to make a motion then?
I'll make a motion to allow Troy Main Street to use Proudy Plaza for art display and sale on July 17th.
And I'll second that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, with the rain date of the 24th if necessary.
Absolutely.
Okay. There's a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Cappers,
Yes?
Mr. Emmerich,
Yes.
Mrs. Westfall.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay. Susan, Jordan, do either one of you have any problems with meeting in person in our July meeting, face-to-face in council chambers?
Nope.
I have no problem with it.
That's what we'll do starting in July.
Okay.
Do either one of you have anything else to come before the park board today?
No, I'd kind of like to ask Jeremy about the work that's happening along Duke Park. What's the timeline and what's the fence going to look like? Will it be put back in, or what that's going to look like?
Yeah, I'm not sure the exact timeline, to be honest. Are you there? Sorry, I just got a call. As far as the timeline, I'm not sure. Maybe Mr. Titterington would know on that. So as part of the project, it's going to look just like phase one did further south on Riverside with the curb and gutter. I believe the east side is going to have the sidewalk extended to the north. And so as part of that project, we took that vinyl fence out, which was in parts of it were in disrepair, needed a lot of work. It's expensive to work on. So we just decided to go ahead and do away with that fence totally, since we're going to get a curb and a buffer strip on the edge, along the edge of the street. So that's
Okay.
going to be the block. You know, the fence was there to kind of keep people from, trying to park and pull into the grass and get into the park, especially during tournaments and events and so forth.
Right.
But once the project's complete, we've got that curbing there. We feel that that's going to be enough of a deterrent in itself to keep people from hopping the curb and trying to park in and drive into the park off of the street. So yeah, the fence won't go back. Again, that's just
Okay.
going to be a cost savings and a less maintenance for us along that fence. And then it'll just, if you picture what like phase one further south looks like, it's going to be very similar to that.
Okay. And so will that sidewalk go all the way to the edge of Duke Park, all the way to the end of it?
I believe it goes, maybe Patrick could weigh in, all the way to just shy of Riverside School. Is
Oh,
that correct, Patrick?
Yes, I believe
so.
it's going to the to the entrance to the park.
That's what I thought.
Which are the limits of the project, yes.
So
Right.
will there be any barrier on that other end to keep people from parking in there or driving into that area?
You're talking about the south end of Duke where our
Yes.
entrance is, right, or that, yeah, that driveway approach is.
Right,
We are currently using that. Our staff is using that somewhat to get in there. At some point, we're probably going to look at a gate or a cable across there once the project's complete. We needed that to allow the farmer to get in, to allow our maintenance vehicles to get in. We'll probably have to do some sort of a gate or cable at that point at completion. We
Okay.
haven't quite gotten that far into it yet.
okay.
Any other
Thank you.
questions? Anything from staff?
No, sir.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you for your attendance.
Thanks.
Thank you.